Honorable members, distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friend. Let's start by thanking Baroness Mansilla Udin that hosts so brilliantly this morning session, and my two great friends, the reason I'm here, my friend, Mark Dumfried. We've been working together, and what I'm going to try to address to you this afternoon is the role of cultural diplomacy to the international relation. And my dear friend, Tasmina Ahmed Sheikh, that the world won, thanks to our friend George Ivanov, that we were in Ohrid last year, having a special moment of joy, of very interesting, and of sadness. And so I see a lot of friends, Yves Leterme, Vladimir Ivanovich, and some new friends that are coming here to have this important and timely gathering. Well, my dear friends, when I was coming to this House of Commons this morning, typical British day, cold, gray, somewhere wet, and I went through the statue of Oliver Cromwell. I said to myself, here start the politics. When society, men, women, decided, instead of fighting, come to a place to solve the problem through a kind of dialogue, through a change of argument, to have a peaceful life. Long time ago. That is what you feel when you are surrounded by this fantastic environment. How far we are today? What is politics? To solve problems. Why wars? They say. There is a beautiful exchange of letters between Sigmund Freud and Albert Einstein. Why wars? We need wars in the world? If we ask all of you, you say, no, we are against war. But we are practicing war. We are engaged in war. We are promoting war. We are preparing ourselves for war. And we are in this building today to talk about my role of cultural diplomacy in international relations. Yes, we know that we are in an era of deep global transformation. While geopolitical tension intensify, multilateralism, I represent the UN, is under strain. Just an understatement, Only under strain will be very happy. But it's more than that. We are in an environment extremely fragile. And in this context, I have to tell you about cultural diplomacy. You think that people will be interested in our discussion today? They will say, what is this cultural dimension in foreign policy, in diplomacy? They will treat us as naive, futile, secondary. No reason to discuss what we are going to tell you is not worth at all. Oh, yes. It's important or is useless, inefficient? Well, my role today is to convince you that this cultural dimension in diplomacy has become a strategic imperative. It's not futile, it's not efficient, it's not useless, it's absolutely necessary. Because the people, and we have some representatives here that have been in politics, we all know that, of course, you need power. We need, the capacity to influence, and defend your interests. but we know also that they are shaped by narrative, identities, memory, and emotion. Conflicts are, of course, territorial and political, but if you go to the root causes, you find that there are cultural and psychological misperceptions that harden and provoke this crisis and this conflict. So that is where cultural diplomacy matters. Cultural diplomacy doesn't seek to persuade or project superiority. That is the first question. It doesn't mean that our culture is superior to the other. No. We've been around this table, this room. How many countries, how many cultures, how many civilizations are here today? People who try to deny that we are living in a multicultural world is totally blind. They don't understand that we're in a different world. How is the British Parliament formed today? How many nationalities? Any country, any city, any small municipality is composed by different people coming from different origins. So why we are fighting diversity? You ask yourself that there are 8 billion people on Earth. 8 billion people on Earth. And how are our fingerprints? Each of us is different. Each of us is different. And we deny diversity, so we don't accept diversity when we are different, each of us. How it comes that you cannot accept diversity, that you want to have a uniform and absolutely homogeneous world with no differences. Differences, diversity, enrich ourselves. So that is what the Alliance of Civilization mandate try to do. Because we know that the conflict and crisis are made by several drivers. And these drivers are the lack of understanding, the lack of respect due to different religion, faith, identities, migration, media, the place of woman you have so well spoke today. You give us a tremendous lesson today in this first session. So, one lesson have to be clear. Cultural diplomacy cannot be confined to institutions alone. It has to be extended to all of us, educators, artists, authors, journalists, faith leaders, scholars, and young people. These are not peripheral to diplomacy. They shape the narrative they define our shared future. And the United Kingdom, you have long understood that. Through institutions such as the British Council, through this global academic network, its cultural and creative industry, and its deep ties across the Commonwealth. Well, you have the major proof of that. The expansion of your mother language, the English. You understood how important it was to defend your language. And now we are, and I'm being obliged to speak English. Yes, of course, I'm very happy. But I could be much better if I speak Spanish, but no. Thank God. It was not a cultural dimension in your foreign policy. The role of English language that is now overwhelmed. There is no question about that, and we are all proud to speak English because we understand each other better. But that was a cultural dimension. It's not just a military enforcement. It was through language that you have influence in the world. So this legacy in UK carries particular relevance today. At a time when global polarization is increasing, when cultural identities are politicized and differences weaponized, cultural diplomacy can act as a stabilizing force. And you have demonstrated that in UK and this House of Commons. We see this clearly in the context affected by conflict, displacement, and social fragmentation. When communities are uprooted, culture becomes a lifeline, preserving dignity, memory, and belonging, protecting cultural heritage, supporting cultural expression, and ensuring access to education are not secondary concerns in this context. They are central to peace building and reconciliation. Cultural diplomacy also plays a vital role in advancing global agenda, from climate action to sustainable development. Policies don't succeed through technical solutions alone. They succeed when societies understand them, trust them, and see themselves reflected in them. Cultural bridges that gap between policy and people. Yet cultural diplomacy must also adapt to new realities. Digital platforms have transformed how culture is produced and consumed. While they offer a unprecedented outreach, they also amplify misinformation, cultural stereotyping, and polarization at sea. Navigating this landscape responsibly requires new partnership between government, cultural institutions, technology companies, and civil society. For policymakers, this raises an important question: how do we integrate cultural diplomacy more systematically into foreign policy and international cooperation? My dear friend, the answer lies in long-term investment, investing in people-to-people exchanges, protecting cultural spaces in time of crisis, supporting independent media and education, and ensuring that cultural engagement is grounded in reciprocity and ethical practice. Let us ask ourselves, how much countries, nations, government invest in cultural and human dimension? How much they invest in expenditure and military industry? Can you make a comparison? May I show a graphic? How much we invest in education? No, but we prefer to invest in military industry. And so, how we are going to demonstrate that cultural dimension in diplomacy is efficient? We should try to establish what I call a lobby for peace. There is a lobby for war that is working every day and winning a lot of benefits every day. And of course, they prefer to have this militarization thinking. But what about the lobby for peace? How many enterprises are investing? My dear, how much difficulty you have to find finances to organize a meeting like that? How much difficulties I have a high representative of United Nations Alliance of Civilization? You want to know what is my budget? When I arrived, it was $2,400,000. And I want me to save the humanity. And I'm saving the humanity with only 2 million. Now I have 7 million. But can you imagine if we bring with us to this kind of entity people investing for peace that will be more efficient, more useful, more interesting in their benefits? But there is no lobby for peace. We have to create it. So the MPs here, you have a work. Start to work and make a lobby for peace, reconciliation, understanding, and you will see things will be much better. So, my dear friends, I don't have much more to add to my intervention today. People will say, and they ask me, why you are going to London? And say, because I've been invited by some friends. Where do you go? To the UK Parliament. Very important. Yes, of course. Extremely important. And what you are going to talk about? Cultural diplomacy. What? Cultural diplomacy? When we watch the TV and the screen, saying the only important is the mighty, the power, the capacity to influence. I say, no, that's the reason I'm going there. Because the British Parliament have, and will continue to have, a strong role to play. And they have the responsibility to raise their voices today. We are more than the others. We are on the right side of history. We are not on the contrary of the history. And we have not to be silent. We have to speak out. What is not going well, we have to denounce and not have fear. Fear of what? Of being condemned to a future of despair, suffering, destruction, war, conflict. That is not the word I want for my children, my grandchildren. And still I have energy to undertake this position. I will continue. So I thank you to invite me to this important, institution, the British Parliament, to send to you this important message. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.